Hi everybody. I want to make what is hopefully a short video for you guys to just have a little introduction to this unit about logarithms. I want to go over just basically what they are and the basics of how to use them. We'll wait until next week to really talk about like manipulating logarithms or using them to solve equations and what the rest of the unit is going to be about. I want to keep this just a basic introduction, so we'll just preview that a little bit. So these are logarithms. Logarithms are an equivalency of rewriting an equation using inverse operations. It's kind of like, at the bottom you can see here, rewriting an equation with division using the inverse operation of multiplication. So that inverse operation right here is just a rewriting. This is an equivalent equation where x is the same value. It's just rearranged. And a logarithm is what allows us to rearrange an exponential equation so that we can get rid of the exponent. And like rewriting with multiplication allows us to get rid of a fraction. A logarithm allows us to get rid of an exponential expression. Yes, we have roots that can do that. Like we can take something to the 7th power and take that also to the 1/7 power, but that's also introducing a power to the other side of the equation. So it's not getting rid of powers completely. It's just undoing one power. This is actually making sure there's no more power. And this is particularly useful when the exponent is not a number. So this is when our variable is trapped in the exponent right here. And we can't take the 1/x power, like that's not helpful. And that would definitely, if we did, 1 to the x power here, doing 1 to the x power over here would not help us at all. So this has gotten rid of the exponent completely, and this is theoretically an expression that is simply a number. Let me break this down a little bit more. I'm going to go through a couple rewritings with you, and then I'm going to show you a summary of what this means. So y right here is the 8, and we've got b is the 2 with the x as the exponent. I can rewrite this by saying, let's get that exponent out. That exponent of x then equals the logarithm with the base that was on the base of the exponent is 2 of 8. Log base 2 of 8, which happens to be 3. And we can know that because we know that 8 equals 2 to the 3rd power. So the log base 2 of 8 is just a really complicated way of writing the number 3. So now let's do this backwards. Now we have 5 over here equals the logarithm with a base of 2. So that means that there's a base of 2. This is the exponent, and this is going to be equal to x. So this is something that if you're given an expression with a logarithm that has the variable in it, rewriting that as an exponential equation can be helpful, because now that's allowed me to isolate my variable, and I can go ahead and solve this, and 2 to the 5th power is 32. So now I can solve that equation, whereas on the right I was stuck. So going back and forth between exponential expressions and logarithmic expressions allows us to more easily isolate a variable in order to solve an equation. I want you to get this into your summary right here. I really want you to have this language to use, and I'm going to give you a little bit more language as well. But use highlighters, use colors so you can see where the parts are moving, and I have examples in numbers on the right. So with a exponential expression, we have some sort of base with an exponent, and if I were to simplify that, that would equal to something. Here's an example where I've got a base of 2 with an exponent of 5. If I simplify that, that equals 32. Rewritten as a logarithm, that base moves down to a subnotation. It's tiny and it's low. Be careful how you write that. Of that something equals the exponent. What's important here is that the exponent is isolated. A logarithm is an exponent. So this logarithmic expression right here equals an exponent. So taking that example from above with that base of 2 to the 5th power, here's my base of 2 on the logarithm. That exponent becomes a simplification. Log base 2 of 32 is 5. Okay, I'm going to give you one more language structure to help you understand what you're looking at when you look at logarithms. I want you to answer this question, and this is a sentence to also put into your summaries. When you see a logarithm, I want you to read it and think like this. What is the exponent on a base of blank that gets blank? So in the kind of generic expression right here, this right here, y would be my exponent, and it's saying, what is the exponent on a base of b that gets x? Base of b that gets x, this is the exponent. With numbers, it looks like this. What is the exponent on a base of 5 that gets 25? You can see the same thing right here without the y equals, because this is just an expression that equals a number. And when you see this, what is the exponent on a base of 5 that gets 25? And I think you should all recognize that as just equivalent to 2. So please get this language and the previous language into your summaries to help you keep straight what those logarithmic expressions mean, how to rewrite them, and how to simplify them. So here's some examples. Let's use that language. What is the exponent on a base of 3 that gets 81? So 3 to some power equals 81. What is that number? So 3 times 3 is 9, times another 3 is 27, times another 3 is 81. So that exponent right there is 4, which means log base 3 of 81 is equivalent to 4. Okay, now we're going to show you some unique situations. So that's like just a very basic, straightforward. All of these other examples are a little bit more unique. 3 to what power equals 3? Well, that's just 1. So anytime we have a logarithm with some base and that same number there, it's just going to equal 1. This is a rule that we can use. Okay, let's move forward to the next expression. 3 to some exponent equals 1. Well, the only exponent that does that is 0. So we have another rule here. A log with a base of something of 1 is always going to be equal to 0. Okay, next example. 3 to what exponent equals 0? That can't exist. 3 multiplied or divided by itself any number of times is never going to equal 0. This is simply undefined. This does not exist. So any logarithm with any base of 0 is always going to be equal to undefined. It's never going to exist. Squeeze this up a little bit so I have a little bit more room. And I will write that there, undefined. Okay, last one. X to what power equals everything in there? X to the 4.2. When I write it as an exponential expression, it's a little bit easier to see really clearly that that's just 4.2. So this is just equal to 4.2, and this gives us yet another rule with logarithms. If I have a logarithm with a base of a base to some number up here, that's going to equal n. And one of the reasons that you can think about this being true is remember that exponents and logarithms are inverse operations. So basically, this is canceling. because they are inverse operations. And you can see that happening right here as well, right? So we're canceling right there, and we're canceling right there, and we're just left with the kind of basic 1 that would be hiding right there, and we're left with the 4.2. Okay, so this is just a summary of all of those key definitional properties. We can never have a logarithm with any base of 0. That will always be undefined. But with any base, if it's a logarithm of 1, that means the exponent must have been 0. And with any base of the base, it will always be equal to 1. So just some really key definitions right there that we covered on the previous slide. All right, why do we care about these expressions? Why do we care about logarithms? Firstly, like I already covered, they help us unlock an exponent that is a variable. So in this equation right here, I have my variables in the exponent. Previously, we have solved equations with powers by using roots, but I can't do a root with also a variable. That's not going to be helpful. So I will rewrite this using logarithms. It will get that variable out of the exponent, and I can go ahead and solve this equation. Really commonly, though, logarithms are used for the bottom 2 reasons. They are used to graph exponential functions and data so that they can be visible, which the graph itself is also a form of part 3, which is a way of communicating huge numbers that grow exponentially. So when I look at a graph that's growing exponentially, I'm going from 0 to 80 right here, and it's going whoop. If I wanted to look at this graph a little bit farther, and I wanted to see, maybe I needed this to go to 160. But with my scale right here, even if I drop 15,000 down to there, it's going like that. I can't ever see what is here. But when we use logarithms, what logarithms effectively do is they flatten out data. So let me write that down. Logarithms flatten data into linear patterns because it's getting rid of an exponent, right? So getting rid of an exponent, we wind up with a linear equation. And when it's linear, it's much easier for me to graph. That way, I could have gone all the way up to an x value of 160 without having to dramatically increase my y scale. That would be fine. Likewise, with communicating numbers that grow exponentially, not just in a graph, it's visually, like, we need a way of expressing and simplifying this graph a little bit, but also in a lot of scales, and a lot of people have heard about the Richter scale here in California, obviously with the earthquakes, you guys have heard, oh, it's a logarithmic scale, like the difference between a 6.0 and a 7.0 is way bigger than the difference between a 2.0 and a 3.0. Well, yeah, kind of. An 8.0 is 10 times stronger than a 7.0, and a 3.0 is 10 times stronger than a 2.0. So actually the difference is the same. But because you're multiplying an already bigger strength, we feel a really intense difference between a 6.0 and a 7.0, whereas the difference between a 2.0 and a 3.0 just doesn't feel as intense because we're multiplying something less. But because this is an exponential scale, we need ways of communicating that a little bit more effectively. We don't care about communicating these lower numbers quite as much unless you're a geologist. The rest of us in the world, we kind of care about those 4.0s and up, right? Like the ones that we can actually feel. And particularly if they start to get really strong, that's where we want to know kind of what's going on and what those differences are. So this is a way of helping us communicate these values a little bit easier. So check out this chart if you're curious about that. Okay, quick preview about just solving. This is that same equation from the previous slide. I just want to make sure that you're seeing where we're going with this. But we'll talk about this when I see you Monday in class next week. Here is what we're going to take this and we're going to simplify what we can. Everything that's inside the parentheses right here, we can go ahead and reduce, and we can divide both sides by 1,000. So divide by 1,000 and simplify everything in the parentheses. So I've simplified what I could. Now I just have that basic exponential, kind of expression that we talked about before, where I've got some base with an exponent equals something. So I'm going to rewrite that as a logarithm with a base. Here's the exponent now, and here's the something. But now you can see that that exponent has been isolated. That variable is now accessible because everything that is right here can be simplified into a number. Because there's no variable there. So I can simplify this into a number. Divide both sides by 365, of course. I'm using the change of base formula right here is what this is called. That will be the last section you do in this unit, is just a way of being able to actually input this into a calculator. Effectively, it's a property that we can take advantage of. And then this whole expression gets simplified into a single number, and we are able to solve and say that t equals 87.89. You might recognize this structure of original equation as a compound interest equation. So this would be daily compounding. I can tell it's daily by the 365. And what I basically said is that it would take about 88 years to turn $1,000 into $9,000 at a 2.5% interest if it's compounding daily. And that's what we just solved with that equation. More on that next week. Hope you all have a good week. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me or, of course, always on Thursdays, or make another office hours appointment.